Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Relapsed podcast. This is a show where a couple of friends talk about our favorite hip-hop and rap music of today. On our first episode, we're going to be ranking Eminem's entire discography from worst to best. So, just to introduce ourselves, my name is Ostrich.
I'm Teddy.
And I'm Zach.
Right on. And just a little disclaimer right before we jump into the rankings. We're probably going to do a lot of nitpicking in this episode and a lot of what might seem like hating, but we're really not. Eminem is my favorite artist, he's Zach's favorite artist, and he's actually Teddy's second favorite artist. And when you have a discography as strong as his, to point out the tiny little flaws that we might do throughout this episode, it might seem like we're hating and that there's a lot of it, but I promise for every one bad thing, there's 1,000 more things that are great about his entire discography. And you could pick out parts in his albums that are fantastic, even on our bottom couple albums, bottom 1, 2, and 3, whatever they might be. So let me just jump into my list now with my ranking from worst to best. So my worst is going to be Music to be Murdered By Side B.
Okay.
Not Side A, not Side A, but Side B. What a train wreck. After that, we got Encore.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we have Music to be Murdered By Side A. After that, we have the Slim Shady LP. After that, we have the Marshall Mathers LP.
I feel like I've been shot.
I've been stabbed in the heart.
Oh, just wait, because here's what's above the Marshall Mathers LP. We have Kamikaze. Above Kamikaze, we have Relapse. And above Relapse, we have Recovery. Now, Relapse and Recovery, for me, they're kind of interchangeable. So, pick and choose which one you want to go on top. Now, for my top 3 Eminem albums, from least great to perfect, we have Revival, the Marshall Mathers LP2, and Eminem's gold standard, The Eminem Show. So that is my list.
I feel like Kim right now in this from the title because God, that hurt my soul to hear.
To be honest, that wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. I was like, you know what? He's got some points here.
Now, I do have some points. Revival
first.
in the top 3, that is a point to be made, all right? And I will die on that hill.
Well, I'm going to be charging that hill with a gun pretty soon.
I don't like the original 3 placement, but I love the Eminem Show being first because...
Well, duh, of course the Eminem Show is first.
The first.
It's perfect. It is perfect.
Should I do mine
Teddy,
now?
what do you got?
Go for it?
What do you got?
Yeah.
Starting at 11, in my opinion, the absolute worst Eminem album is Encore. Could have been better without the leaks, but it's all good. Here's where I'm going to ruffle some feathers. At number 10, we have another album that's controversial. Revival is at number 10.
Let's go.
To be fair, I do enjoy it, but I like the other ones more. At number 9, I have Side B, and it barely edges out Revival. That was close. Number 8 is the Slim Shady LP. I respect it for what it did in the time. It was great for the time. It was impressive, but it hasn't aged well for me. It's aged like milk. Number 7 is Kamikaze for me. I really like it. There's a couple skips, but other than that, it's a pretty solid album. Number 6 is Relapse. I don't like it as much as most people, but it's still pretty cool. Number 5, I have Music to be Murdered By Side A. I actually really like it. I think it's pretty fucking good. Definitely some misses on there, but it's pretty solid. Number 4, Recovery. That one isn't aging for me as well as I thought it would. I used to have it higher. It has slowly slid down over time. Number 3 is the Marshall Mathers LP2. That one has slid down a little bit, but it's always in my top 3. I love that album to death. Number 2 is the Eminem Show, and it's about a 9.8 for me, but number 1 is the Marshall Mathers LP, which is my favorite album by Eminem and maybe ever.
I like...
Gross.
My God, that...
The boos are coming in as expected.
I mean, I like yours more than Ostrich's because of certain albums' placements, but you kind of lost me when you got to the final 3.
Dude.
But mine guys will lose yours too.
I will say that the Eminem Show has gotten closer and closer to that number 1 spot over this last year.
It should be the number
1. I'm the other way around.
No, it shouldn't be. I mean, the Marshall Mathers LP you guys will come to realize you'll grow up, you'll see the light soon that it is not as good as people think it is. It's just
the
not.
controversy is so great in that I know the Eminem show has less controversy, but I freaking love both.
Yeah, so the Eminem show
has
has less controversy, but it has more good songs. So it kind of evens out there.
It's definitely like from this is where it draws the line for me because I feel like Eminem had
mad for
better
someone saying
performance.
one's worse or better because they're both amazing to me.
They're close, yeah. I feel like Eminem had a better performance on the Eminem show, but the production and just the songs themselves from a non-rap standpoint, even though there's some cringy lines on that album that have aged fucking horribly, I really like the MMLP just for the way it sounds. It just makes me happy.
And it's hard to argue with that. All right, shall I say mine?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah.
Okay, at number 11, I have Revival. My opinion, his worst album. The rollout was awful. I hate the pop features, and I hate his flow on the entire album. There's barely anything to be redeemed about it, so I just have to put it as last.
I wouldn't go that far, but fair.
I vote to kick Zach off of the show.
No,
everybody who agrees say aye.
He's running up on your hill, dude. He's running up on your hill.
Oh, just wait, it gets worse. 10 is Kamikaze.
What an L.
I feel like it was just a response because Revival was tanked and hated by the Eminem community. I feel like it was heavily rushed. I love Not Alike and certain songs on there, but certain songs like Lucky You has not aged well to me, and I always skip them now because it's been overplayed. And the music videos are, not that great either. That entire era.
Pretty fucking
That is fair. That's totally fair.
9, I have Encore. It's heavily grown on me in the past few years. I love Rain Man, the silly tracks. My first single is the worst beat I've ever heard in my life. But I love Spend Some Time. I love so much about that album, though. It's really grown on me. 8, I have Music to Be Murdered by Side B. I was obsessed with it when it came out, but it's kind of aged a little worse than Side A has. I love certain tracks like Discombobulated and Nat and the Dr. Dre track Guns Blazing, but it just has not held up as good as the other one has to me. 7 is Side A. Lock It Up, freaking You Gonna Learn, Darkness. I love it all. Besides those kind of nights, I hate that song.
What?
6,
that's a good song.
I don't like it. The Ed Sheeran line, the gingerbread dough man, whatever he says, I hate that line to death.
That is such a bar, though. That is fire.
Goofy,
that is fire.
So I can't hate
fire.
it. It's like your booty is heavy duty, like kind of goofy, so I can't hate it. Like it's not supposed to be freaking Illmatic good. 6, this is is gonna stir up the Marshall Mathers LP 2.
What?
Ooh.
I don't even want to hear it. Just keep going with your ranking. I don't even want to hear it.
The top tracks carry to me big time, but I do not like the Rick Rubin production that kicks in. The production to me, I hate. Rick. Like I don't like Survival like that. Berserk has grown on me, but I just don't like it. But I do love at least half the album. It carries the bad half for me. 5 is the Slim Shady LP. I love it. It was the perfect album for Eminem to debut because white rappers were not taken seriously at all because there had never been that many good ones after Vanilla Ice tanked. I love the Slim Shady LP, like Guilty Conscience, Role Model, Rock Bottom. It's perfect and it just led into his prime. 4, I have Recovery. His response to Relapse because he didn't like how Relapse did. Recovery is always a soft spot to me because Not Afraid was one of the first Eminem songs I ever heard on an old NBA game, 2K14. So that's a really soft spot for me. The features, like Lil Wayne and Rihanna, I love it. I think he went for the mainstream appeal, and I love how it hit the mainstream, even though I wasn't a fan then. 3, I have Relapse Refill. Some people, you're either on one side or the other fence. Either you love it or you hate it, and I love the accents. I honestly don't even know if there's a single skip on this album to me besides Careful What You Wish For. I love it.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
Out of all the songs you could have said are skips.
You could have said like, I'm not a big like Must Be the Ganja fan, but no, you say
That
Careful
sounds
What You
catchy.
Wish For.
I just don't like his flow. It sounds like the 2007 era where he was the King Mathers era.
Yeah.
I don't like the flow on that at all. I like the lyrics, but if he had brought in the 2009, 2010 delivery, then I feel it would have ranked much higher on my list.
You want to do that song with accents? That would be.
Not accents, but he could have like the beautiful, the deja vu, the something like. He didn't have to go Bagpipes from Baghdad or Medicine Ball at all.
I think Beautiful was also recorded pretty early on.
Beautiful was actually the only song on the entire album that he recorded on drugs.
Yeah, that's
which is
insane.
Like pretty funny because it's like the most tamed song on there. Then one of like the only songs where he's like really not rapping about doing drugs, and that was the only one where he was on drugs.
Yeah, he was on the right ones.
All right, 2, I have the Marshall Mathers LP. I love the controversy. I would have killed to see any of this live. Stan is the freaking one of the best storytelling hip hop songs ever. My favorite song from an album is on here, The Way I Am. He disses so many people in this album, and I just love how he stirs up the entire music industry in this album. And number 1 is the Eminem Show for me. It's his most mainstream. I would say it's got Without Me, Sing for the Moment, which is his best song. Not my personal favorite, but it's his best. And Superman, like the Mariah Carey diss, I love it. The music videos are incredible. I just think he really nails it, and it's his magnum opus.
Because it is.
Because it is, and it would be a lie to say it's not.
I mean, okay.
I feel like the MMLP just resembles more of that time era and has aged. I guess but I understand both sides. You know,
the one thing I would have to say is you said the Eminem Show would be his most mainstream.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say. I don't know. I think Recovery would probably take that.
Well, it depends what time you grew up in. Like Recovery for our generation, for sure. But for like the older Eminem fans that liked him since the first 3, I would definitely say that's probably more mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, so both of those eras, the 2002 and then the 2010 era for him, those were like his peaks, right?
Yeah.
2002 he had 8 Mile, the 8 Mile soundtrack, and then the Eminem Show. There was Lose Yourself. There was fucking Without Me, Sing for the Moment. I mean, these were just huge hits. Superman, yeah, which like where I'm at, like Lose Yourself and Superman still gets played on the radio to this day.
Like it would take us probably 20-30 minutes to name off all the plaques he got in that year alone.
And it's one of the best hip-hop selling the best-selling hip-hop albums of all time. It's still like
I think it's
I believe it's was the second longest charting hip-hop album or something to like remain on like the Billboard Top 200. I think Good Kid Mad City just recently dethroned it,
but also Curtain Call is above that. Curtain Call hit.
That's true.
Curtain Call's number 1, and I don't know, what do you call it? But I think it's hitting 500 weeks, or it's really close to hitting 500.
Yeah, which is fucking crazy.
Insane. But, it's a greatest hits album, but he has some new songs on there, and I think that's extremely impressive, even if it's freaking Lose Yourself 15 times on there.
Yeah, right. Fucking
a decade.
But like Recovery, I don't know. That has an argument to be his most mainstream album because songs like Not Afraid and Love the Way You Lie are, I do believe, I'm kind of just pulling this out of my ass now, but I'm pretty sure this is true, are his best-selling songs. I know Love the Way You Lie is, like, definitively.
It's like 13 platinum.
But they're both diamond singles on one album, and I believe he's the only artist to have 2 diamond singles on one album.
I believe he is.
Like, period.
But here's the thing, I feel like the Eminem Show has more depth to the mainstream than Recovery. Like, you won't find someone playing Untitled or Ridas or freaking White Trash Party. But like Till I Collapse is
Well,
like one of the final 4 or 5 songs, and that's considered like probably the greatest workout song of all time. And it just
That's
reached like
true,
a
and it
million
wasn't
streams on
even a
Spotify.
single.
nobody's gonna pull up Bumpin' Drips though. I mean,
Oh, I
there's
love
I mean, I'm gonna
Drips.
pull up bumping all these songs, to be fair. So
that's what I was gonna
Drips.
ask you guys. Is like Drips is one of those songs that I used to like it, but it really doesn't hit for me anymore. And I was
Still
wondering
around
what-
for me. It's a guilty pleasure song for me.
I actually used to hate it, and now I love it.
My
reminds me.
friends who,
I feel like it should be on Encore.
my friends who don't like Eminem
No,
were like, I
it's
love
too
this.
funny
So I'm
for
like,
Encore.
I love it now too.
It's too funny for Encore.
It is.
It
well,
is.
'cause,
No, you're
like
right.
Encore is just like burp and fart jokes for
Yeah.
humor.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But like Drips, like his
Acts like
flow.
that in Rain Man
like, You're
is
right,
really funny
right.
too.
Like yeah, Obi's verse, of course, like it's okay. It's nothing great. But Eminem's verse is fucking hilarious, you know? Just how
He does have a good
disrespectful
verse.
I
and
just
rude
love the
he is.
chemistry in the song.
I heard Acts Like That get mentioned, and I am not a huge fan of that song. And I was wondering if we could discuss that. I mean, I think the lyrics just
You said
aren't
ass
really the
like that?
best. Yeah, with today's just moral standards.
Yeah,
and social
right,
media.
Yeah, it's not gonna hold
And
up. And if he
even
released that, he
before
would
the
get
whole
canceled.
like shift in people taking
Well-
accountability and what they say online happened in the last few years, I never was really a big fan of the whole lyrical content of that, and now with that happening, it really kind of shines a brighter light on it.
Yeah, for sure. Because like, that is one of my least favorite Eminem songs. Like it's down there. It is,
And the
not
production's
good.
pretty lazy too.
It's so
just-
weak, man. It
It's like
is
giant fucking drum.
fucking. Man, you guys have Revival so low. It's breaking my heart.
See, the thing is with
Rightfully
Revival
so.
is like, it's a weird thing where the highs of the album are really high, like all-time
Yeah.
high almost. It's just, and the lows aren't even that low. There's just so much mid, and that's what kind of drops it so low.
Like it
I
does
just-
not
like,
have replay
I feel like
value.
he just didn't. I feel like he's. It's not even that I don't like it. I would like anything he did. Obviously, I think all of us would. It's just I feel like he could have done better, and that's kind of like how I am with Kanye and Jesus is King. Is like I really like it, but you could have pushed yourself a little more, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
And
does
I feel like he
guess,
was trying to
but-
get he was trying to get hits, like the recovery route, but he didn't put the work in.
Yeah.
He
No,
might have
I do
recovery.
get it. I mean, I know I am actually in the minority, like the
Yeah.
minority of minorities who has Revival as high as they do on their list, especially above the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP,
Yeah.
and Relapse and Recover and
Yeah,
pretty much
that
fucking
hurts
everything.
to hear.
Everything but 2 albums. Like I understand, like people are gonna hate my list for having an album like Marshall Mathers LP so low below Kamikaze, Revival, and Recovery, some of his most hated albums, not in the fan base, though 2 of them are. Or excuse me, 1 of them are with Revival, but like outside of the fan base, people do not take kindly to Recovery, Revival, and Relapse.
Recovery.
definitely.
At all. Oh yeah, I
Recovery
see a
is
lot
one
of
the
hate
most
for
hated,
Recovery.
Yeah, one of the most
I
hated.
I
mean,
know they don't like
albums.
Encore. They don't like.
I
Kamikaze.
constantly see Encore ranked above Recovery, like constantly.
Yeah.
But Revival is like, because Twitters are like music hip hop Twitter is usually people like from 18 to like 30 or something.
18.
So
I
they-
see people on there who fucking they're
Yeah,
14 years old.
Yeah.
But like they grew up in the Revival era when it was dropped and not from his older work. So they're gonna say like, this is awful. This is his worst. This is like, I've seen it on those posts where it's like bottom 4 rap albums of all time. And I have like Lil Xan, Chance the Rapper. And I'm like,
Yeah,
come
and-
on. You have not heard this
I
entire
see
album.
people give Revival a 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10s. I'm just like, all right. Like a low rating, I get it. I get why someone wouldn't like the album as much as me, right? But fucking 1 out of 10, 0 out of 10, that seems a little harsh for an album that has like the last 3 track run on there. Like, that alone makes it above a 0.
I feel like that's harsh for almost any rap album. Like, you just have to, like, not like the genre, because for something to be played enough where it's on your radar, it has to at least impress some people. And, you know, sometimes it's a little outside the comfort zone, but 0s and 1s are really harsh scores.
Right, and it's like, I could see, like, it's not even offensively bad in a way where, like, he's saying, like, I don't know, like, if he were to come out with, like, the Marshall Mathers LP today, and people are like, that's
would
a fucking 0, I would understand, because it's like,
that's all right.
It's a different era.
Different era, and you shouldn't say that shit right now.
Certain
but like,
words and doing certain things, it would not stick. But it was a different era back then, and it's still aged good though. Like the song,
it aged good in a way.
In a way, like certain lyrics, like him dropping the F-bomb, did not age good, and he's stopped recently, which is good to see.
Kind of.
Yeah, except on fucking Kamikaze with the Tyler the Creator disc. What a shit
Tyler
show.
The Creator. Like, man, that was not a pretty moment.
And then he said in that interview that there was something worse that got cut, and
that Dre would not let go through.
Yeah, and he wanted it to go through too. I'm like, ooh, calm down,
like, dude.
Like,
yeah, right.
Like, don't want to know what that was. Buddy.
Fucking, I'm glad we all have side B below side A, because I see people on like Eminem's corner of Twitter, I see that album get like 8, 9s, and 10s out of 10, and I'm like, fucking what? I don't understand now listen, I understand it's just mostly Eminem goofing off, right? It is totally joke tracks, and normally I love those. The thing with side B is that it's just so boring. Every song sounds the same. They have the same trap beat, you know, and it's the same things he's talking about, and the only songs that I really like on there are the ones that sound different. A song like Tone Deaf and Discombobulated, they don't blend in with each other. Like, you know, I couldn't tell you what the beat for Book of Rhymes sounds like, even though I do like that song. I listen to it a lot. I can't picture the beat. I can't picture this the beat for what was, I can't even find Zeus in whatever the fucking other songs are called.
Song aged so bad. Like, I love Why the White Gold You Gon' Learn hook, but that entire song only ever gets replayed, I think, because he mentioned Snoop Dogg at the end.
Yeah, and like, I like White Gold's hook on there, because you know he's like a master at hooks. I really hope Eminem keeps him around, because me
too.
He's great on the hook.
He interacts with a lot of us too. I've actually had DMs with White Gold too, and a lot of people have too.
I haven't. He ignored me. But like, I don't know, and like a song like Higher, right? I don't hate the song, but at the same time, when the very first time I heard that song, you know, just that first I was like, man, this sounds like a fucking UFC theme song. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And then like a week later, after the album dropped, it was a fucking UFC theme song.
Oh, it was,
and I was like, I was so fucking right.
It was on UFC. It was the College Football Championship song, the promo song.
Yeah, I was just like,
around.
The first thought in my head was like, this sounds like it was meant to be a theme song for a sport. And in my mind, it was UFC. I was like, this sounds like what a fighter would come into the ring, you know.
To me, the song lives up to its best potential when it's in the car. Like when you have the bass in the car, because it's a really like a yah-yah loud type song, and that's not an insult at all.
But it just sounds so dated nowadays, you know? It really sounds like it's from 2010, like a 2010 dated power anthem. Like, and if it did come back then, or come out then, it'd probably be a lot better than it is now, because it would have been in the times. It would have sounded good. Might not have aged good, but it would have sounded good for the time. But it comes out in 2020, at the tail end of it, like, it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
I think the best way to listen to Higher is to listen to Twitter user Ostrich. He did a cover of it. That shit slaps. I mean,
went pretty hard on that. Yeah,
he worked really hard on that. I mean, there's a video and everything. I think everybody should check that out. I mean, it's really good. Yeah, I think so too. That props to that guy.
Ostrich should have been in the music video.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he totally got fucking snubbed from the video, didn't he? You know, with all the hard work that man put in.
I know. Maybe Marshall just didn't like it, or maybe Ostrich just did it late. Entered it late.
Yeah. I mean, poor guy.
That's the only thing I can think of, because, if it was on time, then I think it would have been the first one of the first row.
I wish, man.
Could have had its own segment.
Like at the end, right. That would have been awesome.
They could have flew you in and had you in the video.
So, real quick, Marshall Mathers LP2 being number 6. It's not even in the top 5, and it's below, like, I mean, the first one, to be honest. That's a sin for me. But, like, for the Marshall Mathers LP2 not to be in the top 5 just brings me pain. I mean, that is just such a great album all around. I used to
rank it lower, believe it or not.
Oh my god.
So which tracks in particular, I'm wondering, if you could pull up the track lists and like your least favorites.
Oh, my least favorites I'd have to say is like Baby. I do not like that song. It aggravates me. I don't like Asshole on there. I don't like So Much Better. I don't like So Far.
What?
I don't like...
Oh no, man.
It's gonna keep going.
It's so good.
Keep going, though, please. It's content, but
I don't like Stronger Than I Was.
That's okay.
That song. I get it, but I love that
I get
song.
it. I love it too. Yeah.
I don't know if I said Baby already, but I don't like. Well, I won't say I don't like, but Guts Over Fear was such a good Sia song. A collaboration with Eminem, and I feel like
that's not on LP2. That's on Shady 15.
I know. I'm just saying, like, Beautiful Pain is just like the Diet Coke version of Eminem X Sia.
Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, to be fair, it was on the deluxe, so I can't really take it away from the main album. But yeah, Beautiful Pain, I don't really like.
Beautiful Pain gives me a similar kind of feeling to Need Me on Revival. They both have great verses, but you really have to suffer through a lot to get to them. And it's not worth it.
Yeah. Which is my least favorite song ever, or second least favorite song ever, which is Need Me.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not even the worst on that album. I don't like it, though. Like, as much of a Revival stan as I am, I don't really care for Need Me. That's
the way I feel about a lot of Revival is that there's so many hidden good verses and, like, even good, like, like Believe, for example, like at the end, there's a really good, like 30-second part that's just like made the whole song for me. But the rest of it's kind of boring and tough to sit through sometimes. But if you really listen to it, that's why we're getting a little off topic, but like the ones and the twos with Revival, I don't get that. Because if you actually listen to it, there's some really good parts of it. You just kind of have to get to that part.
Right. I mean, yeah, I get that. I mean, it's kind of the same with I can't really say side B because there's like 3 good songs for me on there, and I know that sounds really mean, but I don't think the bad songs are trash and it's a 1 out of 10. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's more just like I don't replay them at all. There's nothing that really grabs me on that album. It's just kind of there for me. I don't think it's horrible. I just don't think it's captivating. I don't think it's that great, especially like one thing Eminem does better than pretty much anybody else that he didn't do on that album is stand out and totally like sound completely different than anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he did not
think of like the Marshall Mathers LP2 in 2013, the albums that came out around that time.
Yeah. It's totally
nobody sounds like he does on that album. Like, think of a beat like Rhyme or Reason, right? Think of one other rapper who would use that beat.
Or like Don't Front in 2013.
Exactly. Like that's the one thing that he does on every album. Even say what you want about Revival with its rock rap and its whatever. It doesn't sound like anything else. So for somebody to like it, it's like, okay, that makes sense because, I mean, it doesn't sound like anything else. It's something new. Whether it's good or not, that's into the, that's up to you. But it sounds different. Side B just has the same sounding trap beat on every song, and then there's like a UFC theme song thrown in there, and then like a Tyga beat.
And then like a Relapse leftover.
Yeah, and then like a Relapse leftover. And I think the only song on there that really grabs my attention and really just sounds different and cool and unique and new would be Tone Deaf. The very, very minimal beat, the kind of just like jokey laid back bars. It just works.
Yeah, I agree. That was highlight.
And like
I
a
love
song
the
like
lyric
Alfred's
video.
theme too, like that would also be a song just like that with its like circus sounding beat, but it just goes on way too long. Like it
It
needs to be
needs to
like
be
2
cut by
minutes
a
shorter
minute,
than it
or
is.
at least.
When he says there ain't no stopping me, I'm like, no, we can stop.
There ain't no stopping me. It's like, yeah, I can fucking see that, dude.
How many songs are on this?
I think
thought he was
someone
gonna go for
needs
half the
to. I mean,
time.
like that sucks. It sucks that nobody can stop you.
But I mean, like his best song, I feel off of A and B, was "Lock It Up," and that was 2 verses and a hook by Innocent Pack. That was like
Right,
3
yeah, and
minutes
that-
on the
yeah,
dot
and it
or
was too
something.
short.
That song should have been promoted more.
It
but
was too short.
we could
And
go on and
Innocent
on
Pack's
about.
a star now. He's gonna do a collab album with Bruno Mars on a Silk Sonic. Like
Yeah,
he's
Yeah,
in the
right.
mainstream now, and Eminem always finds people before they hit the mainstream, and once they hit the mainstream, he does not continue working with them.
to be fair, Pac's kind of been moving pretty good for the last few years, but it worked with him back in 2016 or whatever year it was
Like
on the
Kendrick
Dre
Lamar
album. So
during
Oh,
the Good
yeah,
Kid,
dude.
Mad City era, he worked
Off
with.
topic, but man, Pac and Eminem on Medicine Man, like
that
that
was
oh, it was
something else.
so good.
Great.
I had that on repeat when it came out for like
Oh,
2 months
me
straight.
too. Me too, man. That hook and his verse, and even Dre, I mean, everything. That song is so fucking good.
That album's pretty good all around. Too.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some hot takes about that album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's better than a certain other Dr. Dre album.
Oh
my
god.
You
Yeah.
know, I know what you're
God.
going there, and I can't argue that. So
Oh, I
that would be a
can.
fun episode in the future.
Yeah, that would be. That would be. Stay
have to keep that one
tuned.
in
What's
mind,
Dr.
yeah.
Dre's best album? All right. So I do want to say this too, because it kind of sounds like this entire time we've just been shitting on Eminem, but he is my favorite artist. Not only rapper, but my favorite artist, period. So anything that I'm like saying negative about him, I can go. For every one thing I could say negative, I could say 50 positive things about him, and I can find something that I like in just about every single one of these albums. So I'm not just sitting here like trying to shit on him either. I'm just, I don't know, fun to shit
Piggyback on that.
Yeah,
My
I hate him because, or I say hateful comments because I love him so much.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's
no
like
one's
it's like a
ever going
friend,
to-
you know.
I have
He's-
analyzed, dissected, and like downright studied his music, and the things I complain about are so nitpicked and
Yeah.
things that probably when he was in the process of the album would never cross his mind in a million years that someone would be upset about a certain thing. So
Right. Like
Yeah.
when I was talking about how the side beats and shit morph together, it's like that's true, but that is such a nitpick because the production isn't bad. It just doesn't
Yeah.
stand out. And if that's the only thing that like we can really hate on these songs for is like the production isn't
Production.
completely different
and it
like
kind
it
of
normally is.
ties
But
back
also-
to what you were saying about each album sounding different, because side B does sound very unique, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough about him is how everything sounds different. You know,
I
and
don't think. I mean, maybe unique to his catalog, but I don't really think side
not
B sounds
unique
that
overall, but yeah, unique to his catalog. But
Right, yeah. But
It is
even
still-
then, like, Kamikaze kind of did, like, the trap beats, stuff like
True,
that. Way
true.
better. I mean, way better.
Not
They
a
were much
like
more
sampling like
interesting.
Bad Emoji. I loved that. Him like
Yeah,
nitpicking
right.
and
Well,
making
it's like-
fun of
Look Alive,
Amigos.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the top, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I want to say, just to be safe, the top 3 songs in Kamikaze would easily be the best song on side B.
I did really enjoy though on side B, because I feel like out of all of us here, I'm the one who enjoys the most kind of newer trap stuff and just kind of weird mumble rap or whatever you want to call it. And it was really enjoyable, even though I'm not a big fan of Killer. It was fun to hear him on a beat like that and just doing that.
I thought it was too. I don't think that song is actually that bad. I think it's
not
on the
bad at
better
all,
half
but-
of
it's a
that
song you could hear
album.
in the club, like what do you
Yeah,
call it?
I would not want to hear that in the club though. I don't want to hear him in the club unless
I
he's
don't want to
Right.
hear him in there, but it's
But-
something you could. It's like the tempo, and you could so hear that in a club
Yeah,
setting.
definitely, but there's a
Imagine
lot of
going
other
in a
songs
club
with
in
similar-
2021 and all you hear is Eminem saying "swag dripping from me" and "get the money."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
Burn it just to
COVID, so
burn it.
We're not going anywhere.
Everyone be
one's going
booing
to
the
any
DJ.
clubs.
Yeah, it'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, really, I'm trying to like get down, not hear this
nice
40
ass butt.
yeah,
Is it up for
47-year-old
grabs?
man talking about how the swag is dripping from him. I think it's funny. I like the song.
Yeah.
But it's just like
It's a good song.
it's not a club banger. It's just a funny
catchy.
song.
I would love for him to just start releasing almost like mixtapes that wouldn't be as heavily inspected and criticized, and he could have fun. Like, I feel like Side B was kind of that type of vibe.
I think it was too. And I understand it is also kind of unfair to count Side B as its own project and to like give it a rating because it technically is just a deluxe, half throwaways from Side A and half just songs he made over the years that wouldn't have fit another album, and it was kind of just like a fun little project for him to do. So it is kind of unfair to hate on it, but at the same time, like, it's so long and it drags Side A down for me. So I want to split them into two because you can call it its own album even though it technically isn't. I'm only saying it is because it's so long and Side A separated from it is better in my opinion.
It's definitely more mainstream, A is, than B, because of Godzilla and These Kind of Nights was pretty big on TikTok for a while.
You don't want to put Side B in there just because I feel like it's disrespectful to Side A to combine them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, Side A, it's like, that's not even like an amazing, like, 10 out of 10 project, but it is so much better and so much more interesting than Side B.
It sounds so much different because Revival had really bad production, in my opinion, and Kamikaze was like a response. But Music Being Murdered By It sounded way more 2020-esque, 2019-esque than.
Except for some songs
Kamikaze.
on there that did not age well as far as the sound. Like, all right, a song like Leaving Heaven just literally sounds like he typed an NF type beat to YouTube.
For
Leaving
sure.
Heaven, I never enjoyed.
I never really did either
any
because
period,
it's just, the production is just like boom, bah, like it's so dramatic. It's
Yaya.
Yaya's good though.
Yaya's kind of fun. I like
it's
Yaya.
It's really lyrical, but it's really loud, and it's not like today hip hop.
He definitely could get better mixing on a lot of his music.
Lock It Up was like really current, and No Regrets, and I love when he works with new artists because it kind of like works really well, like Don Toliver and Juice WRLD, and I'm not saying he has to only do that, but don't go getting like LL Cool J for your next album.
I would love to see that, but
I mean, I actually would too. That'd be kind of cool.
On the topic of his mixing,
like a
past its day, like I'd rather see him work with newer people or like Kendrick Lamar or someone or J. Cole. Not Redman.
Yeah, I think a mix of both is good, and that's what he's kind of been doing. I feel like he's been doing a good job of that. You know, he had new features. He had like Ty Dolla $ign on the last one, which is funny because he thought that Ty Dolla $ign did the falsetto for All Mine, and he said that in an interview, and that's why he linked with Ty Dolla $ign. But
really?
Ty Dolla $ign did not do the falsetto on All Mine. So it sounds like him. I'll give him credit. It does sound like him a little bit.
Go off, Marshall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't think it's a bad thing for him to work with. Like, think of like Eminem and Black Thought. Like, they did well amazing together. You know,
like Game Premiere on Side B was awesome.
Exactly. I don't think it's a bad thing to, or like Dr. Dre, the beat on Discombobulated. You know, like he sounded natural and he sounded good over it. I don't think it's a bad thing to work with what he was already good with and work with his roots and his generation. But yeah, I do agree. Like, I do like seeing him work with newer rappers. I mean, another collab with like Kendrick Lamar would be cool. Another song with like Drake. Could you imagine like another posse cut?
So
like the
I would love
Drake,
that.
Wayne, Kanye, and Eminem on one song again. Like all their new stuff. You
could even add J. Cole on there.
Yeah, I mean just something crazy like like imagine if like the fan made Eminem albums that you always see on Twitter circulating like came true. It'd be like,
oh my god,
Eminem featuring Joe Budden and J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar and Dr. Dre on one track. You know what I mean? Just like imagine something like that.
Side B came out, everyone was looking through the Genius annotations, however you say it, and they had a Bitch Please 3 on there with Dre, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, and like Snoop Dogg. And I'm like, this does not sound realistic at all.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't think
Like
it's gonna
you
happen.
can't, especially since like Snoop and M were not really pals at that time. You know,
And they went as far as to have fake lyrics on some of the
Jesus.
songs. Like they would have like a verse, and I'm like, and I was looking through, I'm like, I don't think this sounds like him because this just sounds like someone like a SoundCloud rapper could write. And thank God I was right because I'm like, this is gonna be a revival if this is the actual lyrics.
Yeah.
Revival brought good lyrical content though. It was just
Fuck
everything
yeah, it
else.
did.
Everything
Fuck
else
yeah, it
was
did.
not my thing. But
It's
No,
just he
del-
says three words, like stops and says another three to make the bars fit, and I hate that
Chloroseptic's
approach.
so good. I feel like you're talking
the
about
Chloroseptic is really good, except the third verse, which is not.
Yeah.
Are we talking-
That's
Wait,
What
are we
kind of
talking-
that fucking whole scheme was like, oh no.
I like the remix, but the original.
Oh, dude, okay, Eminem needs to work with 2 Chainz on like every single album. It should be a
Yeah,
law.
Two
I agree.
Chains is
I
incredible.
think 2 Chainz should. I think he should literally. It should be a law that he has to be on every single album that comes out from here on out. Because
I wouldn't hate
2
on it.
Chainz on a feature is just the best thing ever. He never misses.
like if he was
I
on
love to
Book
see
of
Rick
Rhymes or
Ross
something.
on an Eminem album.
They used to have beef back in the MMLP2
I
era.
know the Despicable
so-
freestyle. I know.
Who
And
did?
then
But Eminem
Ross
and Rick
and
Ross.
M, and then like
Oh.
there was a video of Rick Ross at a hotel with like all of MMG, and they were like, "What do you think of him?" And he's like, "Fuck that little man," or something like that. So, but that would be
Like,
really
I would
cool.
love like Freddie Gibbs, Denzel Curry.
They have
like,
beef as well, Freddie Gibbs and Eminem.
Oh yeah, I heard that the other day. Wasn't he like hating on Eminem or something?
It goes back really far. Apparently, I remember hearing somewhere, and I would have to fact check, but something where Freddie Gibbs like robbed Paul Rosenberg.
Well,
Like,
that's on Freddie then.
yeah, but Freddie's really about it. You know, I love Freddie. I can't say anything negative about him, so
That's
I'll
true.
keep my mouth
Then
shut.
they had a song together like back in
They
the day,
did.
like
It
2010,
leaked.
9.
There's a file of it that's kind of circulated. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. And apparently what happened with that song too is Freddie made it with the producer, and the producer's like, I'm gonna get Eminem on this and it's gonna blow you up, and he's like, I don't want Eminem on the song, it just doesn't fit. And to be fair, it didn't fit at all. And the producer went through and put Eminem on the song, and that really pissed off Freddie, and he canceled the whole thing. So just a little backstory on that.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
even
I
know
just-
about that, to be honest.
I would
Yeah.
love to hear their 2021, 2022 collab, but I don't think it's likely.
I feel like the best move for M right now, as far as future features could go, would be Drake, just because of how Drake, like if you look at Meek Mill's career, like he saved it completely,
Completely
Right.
saved it.
and just to how great that would be, just in general, you know.
Yeah, right. Like in general.
On top of how big it would go
Like,
to on the charts, it's just a
Drake
win-win.
hadn't dropped in a minute. He dropped Scary Hours 2. He had the number 1, 2, and 3 slot. Like,
yeah,
that's
it's fucking crazy.
incredible.
He is this generation's Eminem as far
When
as
he
like,
drops Certified Lover Boy, he's gonna
superstar.
rule the charts like he did with Scorpion.
Absolutely, he is.
Yeah, I can't wait for
And
it.
like,
to-
Eminem's
The
on
other
there.
thing,
Like, come on.
the other thing too is like Drake is a huge Eminem fan, as well as like Drake and M, like they're great friends, they get along.
yeah,
But those two on a song together, since they both respect each other, like Drake would bring his absolute A game, and M would know, like, okay, I'm on a song with Drake. This is probably gonna
Yeah.
blow up. I better fucking bring it, and I better not do anything dumb.
it's like
You know?
Michael Jordan and LeBron playing together on a team. It's like
Yeah.
two generations.
Exactly,
to
and be
prove,
like,
yeah.
Drake
all right,
sampled Superman on Dark Lane demo tapes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he really and he has action figures of Eminem. He's praised him constantly. He did something for Eminem's daughter, Eminem said.
yep. And Drake
In the
did a
Comic-Con
show in
interview.
Detroit a couple years back, and M came out and performed Forever, and Drake was bowing down to him. You know what I mean? So it's like he's obviously
So
a
I'm
really
like,
big
I
fan and
need
respects
it.
him. So both of them, like on a song, just a duo would be incredible, because they would
Yeah.
both bring their A game, and they would just make the
Or it didn't have to be
catchiest,
just
best
them
fucking
at the
song.
end of the day.
What's that?
They could have someone else too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even like a third guy or something, but fucking
They could
Drake
so
and Eminem, man, that would
bring
be awesome.
someone
Would be
random.
fun.
Like another pretty well respected rapper or another hook singer or someone. Like, it doesn't have to be just them.
I could
In any way, it'd be fire.
Very low key, I could see Wayne, Drake, and Eminem putting out some sort of song.
Oh my god.
I
God,
can kind of see that
so
happening.
getting me started.
Wayne and M have never missed on a song yet.
I agree with that.
Their worst one is a freaking 10 out of 10, and that says a lot.
Yeah, their worst one, I'd probably Drop the World, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
that's
the
their
worst.
worst one, and that is not a bad song by any stretch of the
That
words.
is an
It
incredible
is like
song.
the least best song they've done, you know? They don't have a worst, it's the least best.
It's like Michael Jordan faces Kobe faces LeBron. Someone's gonna be the worst, but they're all incredible.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, overall, I mean, I guess we should actually talk about his discography. It is, I mean, to me, it's very solid. There's only 1 to 2 albums on my ranking that I don't really care for that much, side B and Encore. And even then, it's like there are good moments in there. They are not a complete waste. They're not terrible 1 out of 10s. I don't really even think he has like an album below like a 5, which is just kind of like middle of the road for me. I wouldn't even call that bad. That's just like mid, you know?
Yeah, the thing
And
with
only
his... Go ahead, my bad.
I was just gonna say, to have 11 albums, okay, technically like 10, but if we're gonna separate side B, 11 albums, having 1 to 2 bad ones, like bad in quotation mark ones, like that's fucking solid, and the rest of them are like good. Like
Yeah.
I really really enjoy them too. They're perfect, you know, like absolutely perfect. So
just his
to have
standards
a
are so
discography
high.
that fucking solid to me is incredible. People say he's not consistent all the time. I just can't agree with that. I think he is very consistent, only missing twice, one relatively early in his career and one very very late into his career.
Like,
And,
everyone has misses.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody has an album that's just not as good as the other ones, and to have 11 albums and one of them got leaked, right? So a lot of that track list got leaked, so he had to replace it with some tracks. I mean, they sure are songs, aren't they?
And then I would have just left off and freaking had a shorter album.
Yeah, right. No, we got Big Weenie, but
That's what makes his albums
Weenie and-
impressive too. Is you have like 20 songs on every one, and they're still have high scores.
yeah, that's the other thing too. Like they're so long, and by today's standards, when every album that comes out is 45 minutes long, for him to drop like Music to Be Murdered By way late in his discography, and it's like 20 songs long, and it's still a pretty damn solid album, is impressive.
Well, I mean, side A was only like 64 minutes, and that was or like something around that time, or like 56. It was somewhere around that time, and that was like a pretty short album for Eminem. Not coming.
That'd be
right.
long for most people too. That'd be
Yeah, right,
and then,
right.
And then side B came out, and that was like in the 40s, like 45, and I'm like, okay, like he's shortening his albums. Like he's not gonna go on for like an hour and 41 minutes like the MMLP 2 Deluxe did, which I think is good because like no album
Which is
needs
amazing.
to be long, super long. Not everyone can do an All Eyes on Me
Yeah, I guess that is true.
and go for 2.5 hours double disc. Even Drake did Scorpion, and that was a double album, and he said, "I'm not doing that again."
Do we count Music to Be Murdered By as a double album now? Because of side B?
Do we count Relapse and Refill as a double?
I mean that's another fair thing.
'Cause if you
don't
count one, you have to count the other.
Relapses too.
I guess that's true. I mean, it might be a little unfair to take side B out of context of the album and not Refill, but I don't know, side B, it's such a different album. Refill really feels like a deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
Side
It was
B
supposed to
feels
be
like a
Relapsed too.
completely different album. They have a different sound, different subject matter a lot of the times. It's just so different that they don't really morph together. Where Refill, there was actually songs that were supposed to be on there. A majority of the songs were supposed to be on Relapse, and it was just cut because it was too long. Like that
And
one
the
is a
Relapse 2
deluxe.
skits that have leaked are incredible. It completely continues the story of Relapse. And that's why I'm really salty that Relapse 2 never was released in the public.
Yeah.
Because
That
the
would be so
skits were
fun.
pretty much better than the songs. Like, it was really, really good. I mean, it left Recovery a chance to be in the mainstream in a new album and having all these mainstream features, so it definitely helped his career not releasing it. But I just wished he would have released it eventually. Like, hey, by the way, here it is. I
still
expect it to be like Diamond, but
I hope we do. I hope we get like just a one day he's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just drop Relapsed 2. Even if it's just some like bullshit whatever, it's not even on streaming services. He just puts it on like YouTube or something. I like don't care. I just 50 want track it so leaked, bad.
Like,
if he viewed the album in a positive light, I think he would. But he's said he already likes Encore more than it, so I don't think he's going to ever. Sin. Which is awful. Like, I know it's your music, but sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah, right.
But I don't. If he viewed it in a good light, I for sure think he would do like a special release or like a new CD where it's only on it or something exclusive. But the way he does not like that album, I don't see him ever doing that.
I know, which sucks.
Like, he would literally have to get leaked like the Bang remix for it to even see the light of day fully.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because we love that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Eminem, I mean, just as a whole, I think his discography is very, very, very solid. It's my favorite out there of any artist. Not a lot of lows and a lot of highs for me. So, I mean, yeah, he's my favorite artist of all time. And I know, like, I spent a lot of the time on this episode kind of shitting on it a lot. But when we get more in depth, because we are going to be, how we're going to be doing our show from here on out is every other week we're going to have an album review. And we're going to start out every other week reviewing each album in Eminem's discography. And on the alternate week, we'll just talk about a random topic. We'll get, classic album reviews, top 10 lists, debates, all that good stuff.
Newer album reviews.
Newer album reviews, all that good stuff. And then on the alternate week, it's going to be a review of someone's discography. And we're going to start that out with Eminem, which is my favorite artist. And I believe it's in these guys' top 3
it's
or
my
something.
Top
number
two.
one.
Top two.
So top 2, and it's mine and Zach's favorite. So we're gonna start out with
getting
that.
Close, but Eminem's number 1 for me.
Right. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap this up now. Thank you for tuning into our first episode. I know it was a little rocky, but bear with us. Please tune in next week. We are gonna be starting our very first album review with the Slim Shady LP. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And from there on out, it is going to be fun. It's going to be controversial as well because, I mean, you've seen our ranking. Mm-hmm. But that is going to wrap it up for this week. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the first episode of the Relapsed podcast. Once again, next week, we're going to be reviewing the Slim Shady LP. And I hope we left a good first impression on you. If we didn't, we'll tune in next week. We'll leave a better second impression on you. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you next time. Bye.